Hey everyone, this is Christof,
And Robin?
And Luke.
and you are listening to Internal Affairs. This is part of a series of really unlocking a vintage vault, if you will, of older Leviathan episodes. We call them special edition episodes, which are meant to be standalone kind of audio drama movies that were a deeper dive into the characters and the world of Leviathan.
And today we will be listening to part two of Internal Affairs, which is kind of our Black Door group espionage sort of backstory. Here in part two, we are going to be following our main character Celeste Harris as she and her partner Gunther infiltrate Nankatsu looking for dirt on Jason Sterling and Whit Roberts. It's an exciting, rollicking action episode. I think you're really going to enjoy it. What were you guys' thoughts on this one?
Well, I thought it was really fun to go back. I mean, we figured out this came out back in 2010. So this is 15 years old. And
15 years ago.
we had just kind of been doing this for about 2 to 3 years before we made this episode. And I was struck by how stylistic it was. I really liked the music in this episode, and it was meant to be kind of this tense spy drama. But listening back on it, I was surprised at how playful it was, and I enjoyed hearing kind of some of the banter between Gunther and Celeste throughout the episode.
Yeah, listening to these old episodes is, like I said last week, is really fun because I get to see a lot of how our style has changed and evolved. It really strikes me how almost audiobook like this is compared to our newer stuff. You know, this episode in particular, Internal Affairs Part 2, is probably felt like it was like 80% of narrator when I was listening to it earlier today. You know, very little actual dialogue from the characters, which is something we try not to do in our more current episodes. Those we try to use as much of the character dialogue and as little as a narrator as possible. But this was also really fun because I was able to like recognize a lot of sort of early versions of what I'll call Christof writing tropes. You know, stuff that would come back later on.
This is like true vintage Christof Laputka.
It really is true vintage Christof material. You know, stuff like the sexy female spy, were these long descriptions of how good both her and her partner look and their brand name clothing. This is all stuff that would...
It was spicy.
It was spicy. The calling out. This might have been in part one, maybe it was in part two, of like the specific, like, super fancy expensive watch that Gunther is wearing. It's like not just like a fancy watch, but it's like the like Seamaster, I forget exactly what it was, but that's a classic Christof trope, is like
it is
luxury goods that
yeah
really exist in the real world.
And it's stuff that I feel like we've kind of steered away from in the more current episodes, but it's always fun going back and hearing it take center stage again. And yeah, the watch thing kind of ties into another, what I would call vintage Christof trope, which is this sort of like tech fetishism for all the different gear and equipment that people have. You know, in this we have the spider rifle.
I missed the spider rifles. I forgot how fun the spider rifles were.
The white box called Valmont that they used to hack. And this is stuff you'll hear come back again and again. And, you know, I think we've used the woman crawling through the vent and swinging on a belay lines a couple times in later episodes. Particularly, this really reminded me... Yeah, this really reminded me of some of the stuff we did in the Rapscallion Agency with Lisette.
And in Leviathan Season 3.
Season 3 of Leviathan opens with these characters running across a rooftop and avoiding what they think is a police helicopter, which we have almost an exact earlier replay of in this. And again, it's fun listening to the sort of older version of that.
Right, we tried it first here.
Right.
Like this was kind of our first sandbox to try and play with those audio ideas. And it's definitely been fun to go back and listen to those.
I also love how this is kind of like a very good example of what we were trying to do all along with the special editions, which is like fill in some of the gaps and some of the backstory. Like I think this was actually in part one, which I wasn't here with you guys for the intro to, but where they're in the Black Door station watching like surveillance footage of like a thing that happens in the main Leviathan series show in Sanctuary, and so this is like,
right,
you know, it ties into the main story, but this is kind of like another perspective on the sort of like canon of the main show, and kind of like, you know, gives you a little bit more meat on the bone, you know.
I think we all really enjoyed listening to this episode again. Once again, a real blast from the past. We made this 15 years ago, and I don't know when the last time any of us had actually heard it was. Enough of us yapping now. Let's all listen to Internal Affairs Part 2. I hope everyone enjoys it.
Enjoy.
Internal Affairs. A Leviathan Chronicles story. Part 2. Tokyo, Japan.
Good evening. Your invitation, please.
I believe you're holding it for us. It's under Hutchins. Jack and Caroline Hutchins.
Hutchins. Ah, here it is, right on the VIP list. Welcome. Oh, I see you just bought your tickets 2 days ago.
Last minute, I'm afraid. My angel here just had her new fashion line purchased by Takashi Maya. We were supposed to be in Paris this week, but Tokyo called.
Well, congratulations. Tickets have been sold out for months. You must know someone very high up.
I assure you, most of his contacts are surprisingly down low.
Well, the VIP reception and champagne lounge is on the top floor observation deck, just below the roof. I do hope you enjoy your evening.
Thank you. I'm sure we will. Come, Snoodles. I know how much you love your champagne.
Of course, darling.
The two of them gracefully glided past the red velvet rope and across the striking marble lobby of the Mizuki Tower, one of the tallest buildings in Tokyo. Celeste's light brown hair was beautifully textured with tiny highlights, and the physical training regime of the Black Door group was deliciously evident in her Marc Jacobs evening gown. Gunther, for his part, looked equally chiseled and accomplished in his Tom Ford tuxedo. It wasn't lost on Celeste that Hardwick had told the support team in Tokyo to cut Gunther's unruly hair that had been a source of stubborn pride for him.
Good.
She briefly contemplated running her hand through his hair to annoy him, but before she could, a sleek elevator cab door opened, and the two quickly made their way inside. Gunther promptly put his hand up to stop the other partygoers from entering along with them.
So sorry. This elevator's broken.
The doors closed, and neither spy looked at one another, but rather just stared at the floor numbers displayed in the elevator's internal monitor. Celeste wasn't intending to speak to Gunther in the elevator, but finally couldn't help herself.
Really? A fashion line? You're fucking insufferable, Gunther.
I'm Black Door. I hacked your diary, and I'm fully aware of your September issue aspirations.
Then you must also know exactly how I feel about you.
I do.
Good.
The elevator arrived on the 50th floor of Mizuki Tower and opened to an opulent celebration honoring celebrated director Nobi Nakanishi and the debut of his new erotic thriller, A Woman's Curve. Floor-to-ceiling windows that angled slightly outwards rendered a spectacular, unfettered view of the glistening Tokyo skyline. Gunther gamely offered his arm to Celeste, who reluctantly placed hers within his as they walked towards and past a table filled with glasses of Schransberg 93 sparkling wine.
Truth be told, I'm more of a vodka girl myself.
Oh, I don't know. I do like the fizzy stuff. Tickles my nose hairs.
Over there on the left, the stairwell exit.
Security?
Negative.
Let's move in.
The two approached the steel door off to the side of the main room where fewer partygoers were concentrated. Gunther allowed his hand to drift along the bare-toned bicep of Celeste while she gently caressed the firm back of his thigh. As they got closer, Gunther passionately grabbed Celeste in an intimate embrace and pushed her against the wall near the door. He buried his face in the pale nape of her neck, inhaling the delicate fragrance of her hair.
Anything?
Locked. No alarm on this side. Hold on.
Celeste removed a small compact from her clutch and pretended to check her makeup. Deep within the mirror, flashes of pale green numbers raced above the digital gauge that seemed to flatline as Celeste turned towards the door.
No electromagnetic activity. The door is clean.
Your pick or mine?
All you.
The pair quickly resumed their embrace, and while Celeste wrapped her hand around Gunther's back, nibbling and laughing in his ear, he urgently removed the lockpick set from the inside of his tuxedo sleeve. The door was opened in under 10 seconds.
Clear. Although, we should probably stay
Let's move. Now.
The two of them snaked through the fire door unnoticed, just as director Nakanishi made his grand entrance into the reception floor with the twin sisters from this month's centerfold of Japanese Playboy on each arm. The room erupted into celebrative applause, but two members of the reception were now absent. Instead, 2 floors above, Agents Harris and Klein sprinted across the wide roof of Mizuki Tower.
Where are the suits?
Water cooling tower, over on the left.
The roof itself was almost a full square block in size, but despite Celeste's training, it was hard not to feel slightly exposed sprinting at over 50 stories high. The mesmerizing lights of Tokyo captivated her, and the crisp night air caused small goosebumps to rise along her exposed legs. That urgent romantic part in her heart that she stomped on so frequently ached for the luxury of a few seconds to absorb the view. But before she could contemplate it, Gunther reached his hand behind the cooling tower and quickly pulled out 2 black nylon duffel bags. He threw one at Celeste.
30 seconds.
Celeste nodded and instinctively slid out of her dress to don the specialized clothing contained within the duffels. She had enough experience to not care about being naked in front of men or vice versa, but the night air picked up again and the side of her back and breast felt chilled.
Which way is east?
Far corner. You ready?
10 more seconds.
2 layers of clothing still needed to be negotiated. The first was a tight layer that felt like the hybrid of a body stocking and wetsuit. It was clammy, but Celeste had some experience wearing a passive thermal protection suit designed to disguise her body heat against the Nankatsu defenses. Both she and Gunther then attached throat mics and earpieces in order to communicate with a minimum of sound. The second layer of clothing was a jet black infiltration suit that provided modest body armor, abrasion-resistant fabric, and most importantly, the ability to meld into the darkness of the night. The suit also contained an integrated backpack that ran from the top of her shoulders to the small of her back. A small cable leading out of it hung over the top of Celeste's left shoulder.
Ready.
All right, Celeste, huddle up. We got a 3-stage evolution with spider rifles, ending with a 1,000-meter zip into the Nankatsu data center on the 25th floor. We got the neon signs of the Ginza district lighting us up, so let's keep our altitude high until final approach. The final zip is a 100-meter drop, so we'll be coming in hot, so watch your speed.
I read the briefing, Gunther.
Good. Then you go first.
Celeste reached into one of the duffel bags and removed the heavy spider rifle. She mounted it against her right shoulder and with her left hand grabbed the small metal wire hanging from her backpack and affixed it to the titanium fastener hanging behind the butt of the spider rifle. She walked to the edge of the 50-story building and placed 1 foot on the raised edge of the roof. She brought the butt of the rifle to her cheek and peered through the scope.
I forgot how heavy the rifle is. It has to absorb all the kick. Sometimes I can't even tell when it fires. Shh. Deep breath. Focus. Fire.
A 1-inch wide projectile exploded out of the rifle and nailed its intended mark, a small concrete strip above the 45th floor of the office building across the street. A thin cable extended from the puck back to Celeste and her rifle. The projectile was shaped like a miniature hockey puck, with tiny serrated teeth along its edge. When it struck the building, the tiny blades instantly rotated clockwise, entrenching the projectile deeply into the concrete.
Well done. I see living north of 14th Street hasn't dulled your marksmanship.
I was chosen for a reason. I need to tie off that line.
Celeste's hand dropped into her cargo belt and removed another puck-shaped device and placed it on the ground and watched as the device burrowed into the concrete. She grabbed the thin cable protruding from the rifle and affixed it to this new anchor.
Catch me.
And without speaking another word, Celeste let her body drop from the security of the Mizuki Tower rooftop and briefly fall through the crisp Tokyo night air. The zip line quickly arrested her fall, and soon after, Gunther was streaking down the same cable, chasing her. The 2 figures glided along the thin cable, completely unseen by the thousands of pedestrians that strode along the neon-lit streets of the Ginza Square, hundreds of feet below.
Slow down, we're approaching the midpoint.
Celeste pressed the yellow button of her rappelling device to slow her descent. When she reached the midpoint between the 50th floor of Mizuki Tower and the 45th floor of the building across the street, she pressed the red button, bringing her body to a stop. And dangling hundreds of feet above Tokyo's most crowded street, 3 seconds later, Gunther slid up beside her.
Next target.
Without speaking to Gunther, she removed the spider rifle from her backstrap and pointed it at another shimmering glass and steel skyscraper that was perfectly perpendicular to her current position. For a split second, Celeste allowed herself to consider that if she fumbled and dropped the rifle or any other item, not only would she kill someone below, but the mission would be over.
Don't think about it. Visualize success. See the shot happening. Know that you're the best. Take aim. Breathe. Fire. Direct hit. Analyzing integrity.
Celeste stared at a small LCD readout on the spider rifle that monitored the small disc that had now bored into a steel girder 250 yards away. The screen blinked and showed a green affirmation light.
Cable is secure. Affixing to our current zip line. Initiating second evolution.
They then raced towards the new building, thus exiting the main shopping district and entering the corporate district of Tokyo, albeit hundreds of feet above the sidewalk. As she descended, Celeste could feel Gunther's eyes staring into the back of her.
Scared of heights, Gunther?
Just you in that evening dress, Celeste.
They continued their descent, this time traveling the full length of the cable down to the target building. Celeste slowed and eventually stopped and could feel Gunther doing the same. It felt odd to touch the outside of a skyscraper at this height. She imagined it felt cold, but she couldn't actually feel anything through the thermal layer in her gloves. She thought for a moment about...
Incoming, move!
Gunther grabbed Celeste's arm and violently pulled her around the corner of the building. The entire side of the building was suddenly filled with a bright yellow light as a G-50 Bell helicopter tore by the duo less than 20 yards away.
Did it see us?
No, I don't think so.
What the fuck was that?
I don't know, it looked like some sort of patrol route.
Police?
No, I think it was civilian. Looks like... it was a news chopper. Channel 5. A goddamn news chopper, huh? Must be their traffic cam or something.
Are they coming back around?
No, it doesn't look like it. I think we're safe.
Thanks.
Listen, I didn't mean to swing you.
No, I'm fine. Don't worry about it.
Okay, well, just one more evolution.
Right. The last one takes us to the Nankatsu headquarters, the data center. There, the tallest building at the end of the street.
I'm seeing all glass. There's nowhere for the spider rifle
Look down there. On the left.
Gunther squinted his eyes and was barely able to discern a small band of concrete and silver metal grating that wrapped around the circumference of the otherwise glass-covered tower.
Jesus, that's a hell of a shot, even for you. You gotta be 1,300 meters. You know the winds are picking up from the east, and if you don't hit
Agent Klein, I was chosen for this mission for a reason.
Yeah, you were.
So now help me set up the brace for the rifle and let me do my job.
Both agents were affixed to the skyscraper like mountain climbers. Gunther swung his pack around front and dug through it to produce a small metal tripod. He also removed what looked like a drill gun and proceeded to affix the tripod to the side of the building. When finished, Celeste maneuvered herself and the spider rifle around to sit behind the tripod facing Nankatsu Tower. She pushed the side of her body flat against the cold surface of the building, and for a split second completely forgot that she was dangling hundreds of feet above the Tokyo sidewalk. She placed her eye over the rifle scope.
I need 3 clicks to compensate the wind. Gunther's right. It's a long shot. Aim a little higher, Celeste. Slow your breathing. Calm, slow, control. Fire.
The shot covered several blocks of downtown Tokyo in a fraction of a second. It struck the thin band of concrete on the lower third of Nankatsu Tower. Celeste slowly lifted her cheek from the stock and glanced at the LCD screen on the rifle. A green light blinked back at her.
The line is secure. Let's go.
The pair affixed their rappelling devices to the final zip line and soared across the gleaming Tokyo skyline at over 40 miles per hour.
Angle of attack is steeper than I thought. Picking up too much speed. Gunther, we're coming in hot. Give yourself some break and watch your approach.
Copy.
The D-20 team streaked across the zipline completely unbeknownst to the pedestrians below. Once they reached Nankatsu Tower, Celeste disconnected from the zipline and reconnected her harness to the anchor point embedded into the side of the skyscraper.
Be right back.
Celeste maintained eye contact with Gunther as she leaned back in her harness and slipped upside down to face the ventilation plate on the side of the building.
Hand me the metric torque wrench. Top left compartment inside my pack.
Got it.
Thanks.
Celeste carefully removed the lug bolts holding down the upper part of the metal ventilation plate on the side of the tower. She was careful not to let anything drop or leave any evidence of their infiltration. Celeste loosened the plate enough to create space for her and Gunther to squeeze through. As soon as the pair was inside the hatch, Celeste spun around and placed the spider rifle on top of the zip line that she and Gunther had just traversed. Below the barrel of the rifle was a small protrusion that resembled the head of a monkey wrench. She placed the zip cable between the two prongs and then tightened them securely. With her other hand, she scrolled through the LCD readout of her rifle until she saw a small lightning bolt next to the word removal. She clicked enter, then pulled the trigger. 60,000 volts of electricity shot through all three of the conductive zip lines. The cables were designed to disintegrate when exposed to electricity over a certain voltage. By literally turning them to ash, Celeste eliminated any trace of their entry into the building.
Okay, you're in charge of this part of the mission. I sure hope you know another way out.
I've got some ideas. Stay sharp and follow my lead.
With Gunther now leading the way, the two crawled through the tight ventilation shaft, which narrowed significantly beyond their initial entry. Celeste slithered on her belly with her arms out in front of her. There was not enough space to turn around, and the only possible movement was forward. To make matters worse, the thermal layer of Celeste's infiltration suit contained all of her body heat that was now copiously pouring out of her. The perspiration made her legs feel painfully itchy, but there was no possible way she could reach behind to scratch them. After 20 minutes of awkward crawling, Gunther spoke.
Okay, the corridor leading to the central computer bank is just up ahead.
About time.
We'll use that access grate there. I'll take front, you stay back.
Got it.
Now when we... shit.
What?
Security force. 3 of them.
I see them.
This area was supposed to be past all the security checkpoints. That's the whole reason we infiltrated through the outside ventilation ducts.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
Can't be.
They might know. They couldn't have intercepted some communication like that.
Shut up.
The first guard passed under the ventilation grate in the ceiling. As the second guard walked underneath it, Gunther let out a low whistle. The guard stopped under the grate and immediately looked to his left and right. Gunther exploded, crashing the grate over the head of the second guard and knocking him flat on the ground. The first guard was so surprised that he hesitated for a full second, giving Gunther enough time to, with one motion, dispatch a razor-sharp shuriken directly to the guard's throat. But the third guard was another matter. Gunther knew the grim math. He knew he could probably take out the first two guards, but not without having to accept at least one blow from the third. Sadly, Gunther was precisely right. The guard drew his tonfa nightstick back and ran at Gunther from behind, snapping his wrist hard and putting the full weight of the heavy baton into Gunther's knees. Gunther went down hard, but not before the guard spun around violently, bringing the end point of his fighting stick to connect with Gunther's skull. A sickening crunch filled the room, and a bright light filled all of the space in Gunther's vision. The guard capitalized on Gunther's disorientation by unholstering his Browning semi-automatic and brought the barrel down to touch Gunther's skull. But the guard hadn't anticipated a second attacker. While her blow didn't knock the guard down, it did get him to stop aiming at Gunther and renew his aim on Celeste. She saw this coming and pushed hard off the side of the wall, just missing the bullet he had intended for her. Celeste moved fast and the guard struggled to reacquire her. She knew she wouldn't get a second chance. She immediately raised her hands to surrender.
I surrender, Utanaide. I surrender to Nankatsu.
The guard looked at her quizzically, not expecting this, but then quickly renewed his aim to finish the job. But that brief pause, that brief hesitation was just enough time for Gunther to regain his footing. The guard's Browning fired, just missing Celeste's temple. The guard reeled from the blow, but Gunther was just getting started. Gunther crouched low to spring up his fist again, violently connecting with the guard's chin, sending the man flying backwards to land, sprawled on his back. The guard moved weakly, but before he could regain his bearing, Gunther kneeled beside the man's head and finished what he started.
I was chosen for this mission for a reason as well.
Thanks.
No, thank you. That was a solid kick.
No, seriously. You got rid of the first two so quickly that I...
Gunther put his hand gently on the side of Celeste's face.
Are you okay? Did the shot land on...
No, I'm fine.
Good.
We should get to the central server. That gunshot's gonna bring more guards any second.
I think there's an antechamber surrounding the interior server compartment where the mainframe's located.
That's what I saw in the blueprints, too. I can probably jam the door's electronic entry system.
Good, every little bit helps. Let's move.
Celeste and Gunther sprinted down the fluorescent-lit hallway and entered the secure computer mainframe chamber. The reinforced steel door on the outside had clearly been painted and textured to look not dissimilar from the more pedestrian office doors in this part of the Nankatsu headquarters.
Smart. Hide the most valuable information where few would look for it, on one of the executive conference room floors. Huh.
After disabling the entry system, Celeste and Gunther entered the primary server chamber for Nankatsu Industries, its nerve center. Immediately, Celeste felt a distinct sense of unease. The room was lit differently than the outside hallway or any other IT room for that matter. Dark crimson overhead lights cast an eerie pall over the entire chamber. The great room was circular, but the center of it was sunk 4 feet lower than the outside rim.
This doesn't look like any computer room I've ever seen.
Me neither. Is that what we're looking for?
Gunther pointed to the room's sunken interior chamber. Thick, airtight glass surrounded the fortified interior that was lined with massive supercomputers, humming urgently with calculations that served the greater Nankatsu Empire, spanning all 7 continents. But oddly, all the mainframes had thick cabling that led to a central black cylinder, the size of a large trash can, in the very center of the entire room. This wide cylinder contained a strangely oversized keyboard, seemingly for use with clumsy white scrub suits that the computer engineers used to administrate and modify the system.
Yeah, according to the building's plans I studied, that has to be it.
Gunther was already tapping furiously on one of the workstations along the outer rim of the room.
Looks like I can access the operation commands from here. The inner chamber appears to be airtight, but I can work the airlock mechanism from here. I can get you in and guard the antechamber from this location. I don't know, Celeste. Whatever lies in
Is
there...
my job, not yours. Just keep the chamber secure and buy me at least 10 minutes.
Gunther stared at the rows of sophisticated computers that blinked incomprehensibly at him.
I'll buy you 5 minutes, Celeste. Make them count. I'm already getting some radio chatter from the guards.
Then we don't have much time. Get the airlock open for me.
Gunther activated the main airlock release and Celeste entered the double-door system to gain access to the protected inner chamber of the room. The door slammed behind her with a hiss as Celeste took in her surroundings.
I'm in.
Well, you better hurry. I'm seeing another guard unit on the closed circuit coming up the elevator to this level.
I'm running algorithms to come up with a login and password to access the encrypted files. I'll cut through it as fast as I can.
Remember, we're trying to find any evidence of bank accounts linking Nankatsu and Black Door 12.
Celeste disconnected her backpack from her infiltration suit and immediately removed the tools of her trade. Like a surgeon, she removed the front panels of the cylinder and quickly attached a white box the size of a hardcover book to the I/O ports of the cylinder.
Do your job, baby.
The white box was codenamed Valmont because of the device's uncanny ability to electronically seduce the most secure computer systems into spilling their secrets. Essentially, the device tricked the host computer into running a type of backup subroutine, thereby taking the most encrypted files and deceiving them into unloading them into Valmont's hard drive, where Celeste could then examine them. It had been in use by Door 20 for several years, but Celeste had put her special touches to improve her own personal device when she joined Black Door.
2 minutes, Celeste.
I'm almost in. I've got a database here of all the offshore accounts linking Nankatsu to some classified CIA bank havens that...
We're running out of time, Celeste. Just grab the central data core and we can analyze it later.
I'm trying.
Try harder.
I think I found the mother lode.
Celeste's fingers flew across the oversized keyboard.
Just offload the data and we'll figure it out later.
This file won't download. It's exclusively local. I can only view it here.
Leave it.
No. I've almost got what we're looking for. I can just...
You have another 40 seconds and I'm pulling you out.
Wait, I think I've got it. This is the most encrypted file I have.
Celeste.
Almost there.
Sorry, Celeste, you're done. Get back to the airlock and...
Got it!
Got what?
Oh my god.
Without warning, a small cylinder extended itself from the top of the central terminal. It was black as well, with a solid band of red LED lights surrounding its upper diameter.
What the hell? Hey, Gunther! Are you seeing this?
Yeah, I see it, Harris. Did you get through the primary and secondary security encryptions?
Of course I did.
Then this must be your prize. Just like the one you get after finishing a box of Captain Crunch cereal.
Fuck you.
No, seriously, it looks like a safety deposit box. I'm guessing you carved through the electronic security and now you have to negotiate a physical security barrier. Like you need a physical key or something.
Well, whatever the fuck it is, we're taking it with us. Open the airlock and let me...
No! Harris, you've got to unlock it in the chamber.
What the hell are you talking about? We've got guards on their way here, and we've got far better tools to deal with.
Harris, that vessel or whatever it is could have a proximity defense mechanism where it instantly destroys anything contained within it if it's removed outside the room.
You're fantasizing, Gunther.
Harris, stop and think. Look at the room. This is a room where something very valuable is being stored, and it's probably supposed to stay in this room. There's a reason for that thing being where it is. You've got to open it here.
Celeste stared at Gunther, who peered back impassively.
Gunther!
The mission is too important, Harris. You have to at least try. Just try to open it.
My instincts say you're wrong.
Your instincts don't control the door latch entry system. Open the cylinder, Harris. We've got to complete the mission.
She stared at the cylinder in her hand. It felt lighter than she thought it should, and Celeste turned it over to reveal 2 small buttons embedded into the bottom of the small cylinder, one yellow and one red. The yellow button was illuminated and blinking. When she pressed it, a small lever resembling an applicator on a lotion bottle extended, perpendicular to the body of the small cylinder. She lifted her eyes for a second to spy Gunther staring eagerly at her from behind the plexiglass window.
I'm not sure what this is. It doesn't seem like a memory core or a container.
Open it, Samantha.
As Celeste's finger pushed the lever downwards, she slowly stared at Gunther again.
You've never called me Samantha.
Suddenly, an aerosol spray erupted from the top of the cylinder. A hazy bluish gas instantly rushed to fill the entire chamber. Celeste scrambled to get her hands over the nozzle, but pulled back harshly when she saw her hands instantly turn red and blistered. She picked up the cylinder, which had now grown frigid and cold, and frantically pressed the yellow and red buttons on the bottom. Nothing. She felt all sensation in her hands leaking away, and strangely, a tiny bit of blood oozed from her ears. She sprinted to the airlock and pounded on it with swollen fists. But the door didn't open. She screamed for Gunther, but her black door partner did not come. She ran to the window and was horrified to see him standing impassively watching her, not moving, not rushing to her aid, just standing there, watching her pitifully, unmoving, watching her die.
I am so sorry, Celeste. So sorry.
Her nails felt scalding against her fingertips, and her skin quickly developed painful, vivid red streaks. The blue haze was now all-encompassing, and she could no longer see Gunther, the airlock, or any part of Nankatsu. Something inside of her knew that things had gone horribly, irrevocably wrong. But now she was drifting away from the world she knew. Celeste was terrified and let the cylinder fall from her hand. And then a moment later, everything faded into blackness.
You have been listening to Internal Affairs, a Leviathan Chronicles story. This episode was made possible by the generous support of our listeners. To listen ad-free and get exclusive bonus content and behind-the-scenes footage, become a subscriber at patreon.com/Leviathan Chronicles. Internal Affairs was written by Christof Laputka, directed by Nobi Nakanishi, produced by Robin Shaw, executive produced by Amish Jani. Original music by Luke Allen. Sound design and editing by Luke Allen and Robin Shaw. Starring Amanda Lichtenberg as Celeste Harris, Monty Bratten as Gunther Klein, and Samantha Parker as the narrator. For a full cast list and to learn more about our other audio productions, go to leviathanaudio.productions.com or follow us on social media. Thank you for supporting Leviathan Audio, and thank you for listening. Leviathan Audio Production.